Hi there. I'm Roz Dawson Thompson, and I want you to say also hello to my boss, my board chair, Sean Brown. And the two of us are delighted to kick off this virtual leadership forum, one of a six-part series of events featuring each of our extraordinary and talented and gifted women leaders who are recipients of this year's Maura Women Helping Women Awards. Um, the Maura Awards are a wonderful, wonderful program, and I wanted also please shout out first our presenting sponsor for this series, which is AT&T. We could not do this work without AT&T's support, and we are infinitely grateful for their being a part of the Leadership Forum and Awards Dinner now for this sixth year. Now, the Women Helping Women Awards are named for Maura McNeil, who was one of the founders of Texas Women's Foundation, originally known as Dallas Women's Foundation. And the Maura Awards truly honors those women and trailblazing women who have forged a path of leadership and brought other young women and behind them. It's very representative of our overall focus on women's leadership, and I want to kick it to Sean to talk about, as a wonderful woman leader herself, our leadership initiative and what that has meant to the foundation.
Absolutely, and thank you, Roz, and so excited to be here virtually with so many people this evening to honor Dana Blankenship, another one of our amazing Leadership Award recipients. And so, you know, the gender pay equity in Texas actually won't be achieved until the year 2049. I did not stutter, 2049. As we currently sit, only 14.6% of executive positions are held by women. And so the Texas Women's Foundation's leadership initiative is focused on programs, on policies, and practices that increase the number of women in leadership and create and fund new opportunities for women and girls to lead. And that is a key component, because we're not just looking at the landscape that is there, we are also creating tables for executive women to lead and to sit at. We know that women are more likely than men to be dramatically underrepresented in those leadership positions. And so to address those issues, we have assisted in making real progress, and we have a lot of work still to do for women and girls on all fronts. We must strengthen the pipeline of female leaders. So to that end, the Texas Women's Foundation leads at every level in working with women and girls. We offer key programming from middle school up through the C-suite for executive women to advance into women's leadership.
Now, Sean, I want to take 1 second as we wait and talk in a moment with our awesome award winner, but tell me a little bit about tell our audience a little bit about why Texas Women's Foundation is important to you and why you are such a wonderful leader for this organization.
Well, thank you. And on her shoulders I stand, I will say. You know, as a young lawyer and professional, it was very important for me to seek out strong women leaders. And I did have the opportunity to work with and watch and observe so many, particularly as a woman of color. I also did not see myself very often, particularly in the law firm ranks, but it was something that I sought out and I craved. As I continued to achieve different positions in the law firm and then now ultimately in the corporate world, I realized that having a peer group to network with, to just have those breathable aha moments with, or to just talk about a frustrating day was extremely important. What drew me to the Texas Women's Foundation is it was as if I bottled up everything I could conceive, and even things that I didn't know were possible, about strong women in executive positions and in leadership who were also committed to lifting as they climb. And I found my passion and my purpose there. Because as you know, and everyone who has tuned in here knows, that through advocacy and key programming, we really are pushing more women to the top. And in particular, something I'm personally proud of is also women of color, because we recognize that intersection. And so now that I'm in-house with Kimberly Clark, my mission aligned with the company's mission as we work and serve our consumers. But more importantly, I have learned through my experience with Texas Women's Foundation that I not only need to take that chair at the executive table, but I need to pull up even more chairs for my sisters to join me.
Awesome.
Thank you, Roz. So with that, I know that you all joined to hear from our amazing award recipient tonight, and we have a real treat because Tracy Faber with McKesson will be interviewing Dana Blankenship. So we'll have a meaningful conversation between the two of them, our 2020 Maura Award winner, Dana Blankenship of Blankenship Change Consultants, and Tracy Faber of McKesson. So Tracy, we're thrilled to introduce you and to learn how McKesson is supporting the mission of Texas Women's Foundation and supporting women leaders. I'll turn it over to you, Tracy.
Thank you, Sean. It's really a pleasure to be with you all. And Roz, I want to thank you and Sean for your warm introduction. McKesson is excited to partner with the Texas Women's Foundation as we share the passion for creating these leadership opportunities for women and girls. You know, as McKesson was moving to the Dallas community, we were really looking to support the community and be able to partner. And the Texas Women's Foundation really aligned with our values and our support of women's leadership, both in McKesson and in the community. I'm really inspired by the women being recognized and awarded and how these women have been advocating for women in our community. And I'm thrilled to talk today to someone who's truly making a difference in the lives of women in their leadership development, quite frankly, in my own personal leadership journey. For those of you who don't know Dana Blankenship, she is the CEO and founder of Blankenship Change Consulting. And what's so special about Blankenship Change is it's a female-centered organization of over 70 employees and a boutique firm that helps really some of the best well-known brands navigate the people side of change and change leadership as these organizations grow and evolve. After being in leadership at a large firm, which is where Dana started her career, she moved to start her own organization that could be more family-centered and women-centered, which reflects really her passion and her heart, and her focus on building relationships and really bringing a nurturing and supportive environment where everyone, and in particular women, can thrive. So in that environment, not only do Dana's clients and Blankenship Change Consulting clients receive great and expert services, her employees really get to engage in meaningful work that's exciting, but on a schedule that allows them to be flexible and meet the multiple demands of their lives. Dana, you know, if you know her, you know how she leads with her heart, and she brings the same passion and energy to her personal endeavors as she does to her professional, whether that is annual trips to Guatemala to support orphanages or mentoring mothers of LGBT youth, as well as children with diabetes. You know, in preparing for this and honoring Dana, I spoke with a few women whose lives and careers Dana has touched. And, you know, one client in particular said, Dana doesn't just support my change management efforts, she has helped me think like a change management expert. She's also invested so much of herself and her knowledge and experience into me. I've been so grateful for her guidance and support. She thrives on the success of others and is truly a champion of women. A former colleague that I spoke with said Dana was my manager for many years during a very, very formative time in my career. She inspired me with her intelligence, pragmatism, sense of humor, and tremendous capability. Dana is a creative, driven leader who took the time to give me honest and meaningful feedback and development. Earning her respect and trust was something to be proud of, and I'm tremendously grateful that she saw potential in me and invested in my development. And finally, a current colleague at Blankenship said, Dana has inspired me for many years with the way she champions empowering women and providing them with new ways to work, contribute and participate in a career, even as they decide to pursue other personal and family goals at the same time. Her company provides unique flexibility for working moms and others who want to be engaged in working, but also want more time with their families or doing community work. You know, I have to say, I've also personally experienced Dana's amazing support and coaching as I was transitioning into my role as CHRO at McKesson. Dana has reminded me many times not to pay attention to the hecklers and to the stands. It's who's in the arena fighting with you that matters. And Dana is always in the arena with you. Dana's family includes her husband, Jacob, 2 daughters, Hazel and Ellery, and a big bustling family of extended relatives. And today I know she is joined by both of her parents and her family to celebrate this honor with her. Dana, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Great. I would say you went a little off script on that and got me a little too, maybe a little too emotional to do a great job.
Well, I'm hoping I made you cry because that's what you deserve.
I do that well, very well.
Yeah, me too. It's good we're among friends.
Okay, that's good.
Before we get started, I want to let our viewers know that following the conversation, we welcome you to ask questions, and you can click on the Q&A icon below, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. And so, but I'm going to kick off by asking Dana a few questions. And so, you know, from the comments that I was able to get by talking to a few people about you, Dana, it's clear you've had such an impact as a sponsor and mentor and coach of others and other women. Can you share a little bit about how coaches and mentors have impacted you in your career?
Sure. I would say when I started probably early in my career, I might have underestimated the importance and the value of that. You come out of grad school and you're feeling really confident and cocky, and maybe I thought I could do it all on my own. And I also think early on in my career, I probably focused more on relationships with peers and maybe one level above me. And I formed a good foundation with that. But early on in big firm consulting, the gender equity was pretty equal. They had about as many men and women in the firm at the starting level. But as we know, over time, that changes, and more women drop out of a high stress, high pressure type of career like that with a lot of travel and demands. So in the middle part of my career, I think that I realized I had to have a lot more coaching and support. And as a woman, I was questioning if I could do it. Not intellectually or any other way like that, but more just, did I want to make the sacrifices, and how would I do it? And as I was feeling like more and more of a minority in a male-focused career, could I really do it? And so I reached out at that point to a lot of women that were equals and ahead of me on the journey that could provide that kind of encouragement. And then as I was in my more senior years of my career, when I was very, very much a minority, I definitely needed as many men, mentors, and coaches to be able to help me navigate and figure out how to be impactful in business and how to pave my way, and also some women as well. I think now, over probably about the time I was a manager at the firm, that we call it the firm, but like in big firm consulting, when I started realizing that my role was equally important. If I didn't want to be a minority and be the only woman at my level, I had to pull people along with me and take them along. And so I invested a whole bunch of my time and energy in developing and growing women, leading women's mentoring programs for my industry group or location. And I would say that now I'm 55 years old, and I am able to coach and mentor a greater percentage of my time. I've long since given up any need to be promoted or achieve. And I just am able to focus that time and energy in helping other women to be able to achieve their aspirations in their careers.
So great to be able to pay it forward.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I think we all think about how we measure success at different points in time. How do you think about how your definition of success has evolved from, you know, being a partner to being a CEO now and at different stages?
I think when I started in my career, I was at first seeking, you know, looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like the lowest level. I was looking for some kind of financial security. And that's what success was for me. I grew up with my father was a pastor, and we lived a modest lifestyle, and money was always tight. And I did not want to have to worry about taking care of my family or taking care of my parents. So having financial security was important to me. And so I think initially success felt like that. In the first few years, just having an income where you could take care of yourself and take care of your family felt really rewarding. But over time, when your needs are taken care of, what I value much more is being able to use my voice and my money to be able to make a bigger difference in this world, and be able to get more gender equity, get more racial equity, be able to help people rise up that have not been able to from other constraints, and be able to pour myself into other people. And that's really what I love about what I do now, is whether I can pour that into a client or pour that into my children or pour that into the other people who are at my firm. I feel like I'm not worried any longer about taking care of the basic needs. It's just trying to make this place a better place for all of us.
Well, and Dana, you know, knowing you and how much you give of yourself, you know, we all feel that for sure. When you think about your career, you know, what is the thing or an aspect that you're most proud of now as you think about it?
Like I mentioned earlier, that I'm no longer like seeking a promotion. That was a big life goal, was to keep moving up and get promoted along the way. But I haven't been seeking any kind of promotion in 10 or 15 years now. And so seeing friends and clients like yourself get promoted is really my greatest reward. So being able to see someone that's deserving, be able to break barriers and be able to do new things. So you and many of my other clients that have been able to get promoted is a huge reward of mine. I also like to be a part of the career journeys of people all along the line. So I see someone have a big win, we produce something great, partnership with them. I think that's been a huge reward for me as well. But if you look at a constant theme throughout my life of what I'm looking for and what I'm doing with my time that I'm working in business, it's looking to empower and develop women. And I did that when I was in big firm consulting, and do that with little firm consulting as well. I have 2 daughters that I certainly try to pour into and develop and empower them as well. But I would like to be remembered for having invested in that. And of course, that's why I love Texas Women's Foundation as well. I do think what we tried to do with the firm that we have now is be able to kind of rewrite that playbook, to where in big firm consulting, it's just, it is just that, it's a big firm, and it's trying to generate as many people as possible to deliver as many projects as possible. And we are so lucky that we get to just find projects where we make great matches between women with skills who have time and interest in doing types of work that are unique to our clients, and we can make great matches. And it allows a lot more flexibility on the part of women, and allows them to maybe women, a lot of our women had dropped out of the workforce or had taken a quality of job that was below their skill set, because it was difficult to find a really intellectually stimulating job that was on a part-time basis. And so what we've done is try to make those matches come back to where you can use your full brain and your full amount of energy, even if you're only able to give 20 hours a week toward the work. We want you to give 20 hours a week and use your whole brain and your whole heart. And so it's been a really great, magical thing to see women get their self-esteem back Some of them had lost their self-esteem, taking a sideline for a period of time. I've seen women get, their whole way they walk and carry themselves as they've gotten a job that really suits them and where they're able to serve a client, this client shows respect for them. Just the marriage that creates and the kind of respect that they end up showing each other allows a woman to really feel respected again and be able to carry themselves in a different way. And so that's what I'm most proud of, is seeing the actual change in people when they're able to deliver what they're capable of delivering.
Yeah, it is amazing how you've been able to create an environment. We talk about creating an environment where people can bring their whole self, and you've really done that, and then it allows them to really shine.
Thank you.
I think we're all excited to see more women in leadership positions, but unfortunately there's still a lot of times where, you're the only one. How have you been able to succeed in environments where you've been the only, and kind of what's your advice in those situations?
Well, the stories are probably endless, and I know you have them yourself, as we've shared many with each other. And like I mentioned earlier, in the early parts of my career, it was a kind of a balanced hiring situation. So in fact, there were even more women than men doing the type of change management work that I specifically do. But as time goes on, it would become, more and more weighted toward having many more men in business consulting than women. And early on, I would get all kinds of interesting advice from people. You're seeking out mentoring and coaching. You're trying to understand, how do I make it in this world? And I got all kinds of crazy advice. But you listen, you take it in, you take what you can from it, and you throw away the rest. And I got advice from women, strangely enough, from everything from, you have to work twice as hard, or you've got to go to the men's club at lunch with the men so they see you're one of them. Just all kinds of interesting things. So you have to find, who are you? How are you going to make it in this type of business environment, and find the right coaching and mentoring to be able to pull yourself along. And at times it feels lonely, and at times it felt like no one was like me. And so I think the thing I did was just be extremely creative. So early in my career, not early, I would say in the middle part of my career, when I had my first child, of course, I was tested and asked to take an out-of-town assignment shortly after having a child. So my mom quit her job and came on to be my nanny. And for about 6 months, we would fly out every Monday with my mom and my baby Hazel, and we would fly out to Colorado and stay Monday through Thursday, and we'd fly back Thursday night. So I had to have creativity. I had to have, some gumption to ask for a 2-bedroom apartment as opposed to a 1-bedroom apartment. So I would have room for all of us to live there. I had to have a very understanding spouse that said, okay, you can do this one crazy thing. Of course, he's let me do a lot more crazy things than that. But I had to have support to be able to do that, and courage to be able to ask for it. And I think those are things that sometimes as women, we don't ask for things that we really need. And so with the first child, I did that. And then that got me through an assignment. It was really, my mom would bring my child up to me. I would nurse the baby in the parking lot of the client side. And then at 5 or 6 o'clock, we'd leave the office, and my whole team would come back and work at my house in the evening, in our apartment in the evening, and we'd bring in dinner or pizza, and we'd work together so we could, be together kind of as family on the road. And then later, when I had a second child, I found 2 other women, one of whom is a colleague of yours now, Tracy, and we all paired up, and we got a 3-bedroom apartment. And we rotated bringing a nanny every week to stay, and everyone could bring their kids, and that nanny that week would take care of the kids. So you have to just think outside of the box and had to come up with something creative. But that kept me going a little bit longer, because if the earlier in a career you drop out of the workforce, the harder it is to get back engaged and get that momentum and keep going. So I think I would give myself credit for being creative, or maybe crazy, and also persistent. and just not giving up, constantly trying something new, constantly seeing if there's some way I could make it work until someday you just think you can't. And so my oldest child was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And shortly after that, maybe a year or two later, I decided I need to try something a little more creative. And so I left big firm consulting and went out and for a while worked on my own, and then started adding extra people into the mix as we got bigger and more exciting projects, and we needed more bright ladies to help pull that along. So I would say be persistent and be creative and look for any way to keep going, because it's a lot easier to keep going than to stop and have to restart.
Really, really great advice, Dana. And what I heard in there too is not being afraid to ask for help and to leverage your network and the folks that want or can support you. And the other thing that I think is, what I hear in your experiences, you've created an environment where women probably don't have to be creative and try to figure it out and act like everything is, like it is for everybody else, out front and in the background, you're doing all this stuff to make it work. I know when I talk to folks who work for you that, they could bring the baby to the office and it would just be okay.
In fact, that might be recommended. I definitely need more baby time. So yeah, we also have a rule at my firm. If you have a baby under 1 year of age, I babysit for free. And there's been quite a few who've taken advantage of it. There've been many a conference call where someone is nursing at the conference room table. So we've done all kinds of crazy things, and you're right. They've brought their whole self to work. And we also do a lot of job sharing where two people work together to serve a client, and it's seamless to the client, but it's a win-win for the ladies. And we do have a man or two, so it's not like we're exclusively women, but you're 99%.
Well, one of the things I've enjoyed so much at McKesson working from home is getting to see people's personal lives and their children, and that it's created space for that almost by default. So
that's right. And pets. I've seen all kinds of dogs. Cats too, I guess, but they escape more. So.
Well, Dana, I know that we want to invite Sean back, who is our chair, who is going to help us field questions from our audience as well.
So Dana and Tracy, I just enjoyed your conversation. I have so many key takeaways from that. I loved your discussion of bringing your whole self and your whole brain to work, because, in my career, which we also kept talking about, the firm, and, you would, when you had these life transitions, and you would try to keep it separate, and just that duality was exhausting. And so you've removed that. It's exhausting, right?
That was something I was going to remember to say that I forgot. Yeah. And that was something I did early on in life, was I kept one to-do list that I merged my personal and my professional together. And I would teach that to other people that I mentor, because if you have two separate, you find yourself only focusing on the professional at the work hours, and you will never get anything done. Yeah. And you might have something urgent, like make a doctor's appointment or something that you literally never get to. So when you're prioritizing those A's that have to get done, those have to be a mingled list for you to be able to survive in this world.
Well, I can't
tell you how many times I've gotten my hair colored and also been on a call.
Absolutely.
Hey, one of my bosses said to me, it grows on company time. You need to get it colored and cut on company time. All of that.
I love that.
We have some great.
I walk into the hairdresser now, and they set it up. They bring me a tray, and then they do it back in the massage room. You can take your calls. So at least they're adjusting. They understand that crazy ladies like us.
I love it. Well, thank you for inspiring so many of us, Dana. Your commitment to creating a unique workplace environment that truly supports women and working moms, it just gives all of us hope that we are going to make this change better. And you've created the table, and We have one question, we have several questions in the chat, but I'll start with one that sort of relates to that. So, the question is, what advice do you have for a young female just starting out in career? I know you talked about the to-do list, but that person who's walking in the door, you described and it was like this in legal as well, more women than men to start, but then as you continue to rise up, it definitely dwindles. So what would your advice be?
I would first recommend to take advantage of every relationship that you get the chance to. So the people that work right beside you might someday be people that are ahead of you, or they might be people that work for you. Also, people that you work for should be people that want to pull you along in the future. So establishing a great relationship with them as well. I think it's really important to take advantage of assigned mentoring programs in businesses. There's a lot of debate over that, but I say more mentoring is better than none, better than less. And so if there isn't a formal mentoring program for women, engage in that. But also, that's add other mentoring on top of that, both within your industry, outside of your industry. So you're building up your network to where you're able to bounce ideas off of them and consider and pro-con different career opportunities and learn from other people's lessons learned, where you don't have to make the same mistakes yourself. So I think having a really solid network that is broad and diverse really helps you be able to further your career and learn lessons that you might not otherwise learn.
That's great advice. That's great advice. And you actually answered another question about mentoring on our list. We have a number of great questions in here. You touched on how you have been able to seamlessly have sort of a team approach to certain of your clients. But one of the questions in the chat, and I'll merge two because I think they're related, how does your mindset and approach translate to improved outcomes for your clients? The question further says, I feel like they reap the benefits in so many ways as well. And then the question I'll dovetail into that is, how have you been able to garner financial success from the model that you've created?
Okay, so I'll touch on the first part first. I think that our clients, we are very, very fortunate. We've created the kind of environment where we get to be choosy about our clients. And part of that reason is we are not publicly held. And like I said earlier, we are not chasing the buck. So we turn down clients as often as we accept clients because we're looking for a great partnership. And I understand that is just a very fortunate place to be. But we're looking for a client company that wants a partnership and not a quick gig done for a cheap price and then you go away. But we're looking for this long-term partnership. So if a client calls us up and we're already working at McKesson or PepsiCo or Southwest Airlines, we already know your business. So we're able to quickly get up to speed, the benefit to the client. We are not looking to, none of us in our firm are looking to get promoted. We are looking to do a great job. That's where our satisfaction comes from. So if you're happy, you make us happy, and then everyone's in a great place. So I think it's a way different motivation. It's a different motivation for me personally than when I was in a different type of consulting situation. There were so many metrics and things I was tracking for. Literally, we have no metrics other than, are the clients happy and did we do great work? And we're all motivated to help each other. So if one person says, oh, this client wants something, oh, but so-and-so knows how to do that a little better, I'm just going to call her up and she'll give me, whatever I need, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever. We're all just so willing to help each other out. Yeah. And one other thing that I think is interesting that comes up a lot is some people say, oh, women can't get along working well with women. That really irritates me. I don't know if that irritates either of y'all, but it really does. Yeah. And so we have about 75 women in our firm, and sure, do some people occasionally get irritated at someone? Absolutely. But I actually believe it's far less than if we had a team of all men who were trying to get along together. So we all are so willing to sacrifice our personal time and our personal energy to help someone else out. And I think that's kind of part of intrinsically female themes, is being able to help and being willing and interested to help another person out. And so
that
we have
collaborative spirit.
absolutely. And I think we deliver greater product because of that to our clients, and we get more enjoyment along the way because we have a great time doing it together.
I love that.
Financial success.
Yeah,
Everyone,
and we talked about everybody kind of jumping in or finding the best talent, and it's not competitive, right? Because at the end of the day, because your goal is the client happy, everybody knows what they're heading towards and they're working towards that.
That's right. That's right. We've created a financial model that is a balance to our clients, in that we don't have a huge markup on any person. Every person gets a fair wage and makes a good living. But we do not mark people up an extraordinary amount, so that makes us at a very attractive price point. And so we're kind of a win-win. And the women in our firm take consulting gigs however much they want. So if they want a small amount of gigs, maybe they're in a period of time where they want to work less, then they just take one project and then they mark themselves red that I don't have any capacity to take anything else. Or if I want an extra one, I mark myself green or yellow and I can take projects if there's a great match for me. So I kind of view my job as like a matchmaker between clients and our team members, and also between finding team members that I think might work well together. Because of course not every person's a match. But I really think if I ever quit consulting, I might be able to go work like at Match.com or something like that, because I'm pretty darn good.
You could go recreate that whole, I mean, you definitely have created magic. So you have a ton of support, and there's so many people logged in. You've got a little fan club here. So I've got somebody with some inside knowledge who wants you to share with this group your love of Venn diagrams. And they say the circle of influence and circle of concern, and they think we all need to hear that.
Yes, that is, our whole family is a little obsessed with Venn diagrams. But my favorite Venn diagram is if you take the circle of influence and you overlap it to some degree with the circle of concern. And I say this probably at least daily to someone, and I probably drive everyone crazy. But if you focus on the part where the circle of influence and the circle of concern overlap, that's the greatest use of your personal time and energy. If you're focusing just on what you're concerned about, but you have no ability to influence it, it's a waste. And if you focus on what you could influence, but you don't really care about it, that's a waste. So you're looking for that overlap between where you have concern and you have influence.
Right.
And that's where you should focus more. And of course, I try to take my life and put most of it into that section and throw away the things on the front.
That kind of goes back to what we were discussing earlier, right? You know, you're not creating two different areas, you're merging them together.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
wow, well, amazing. So many takeaways, and I'm sorry that we were not able to get to all the questions in the chat. We absolutely want to make sure that we continue to hear from you guys, and you all had a real treat to hear both from Tracy. Thank you for moderating with Dana, and Dana, just extreme congratulations to you, which I know you're very humble and won't accept all the praise that we're lauding upon you, but we are truly grateful for all that you have done to truly change the game for women. And that is why you have been selected to receive this Maura Women Helping Women Award. So thank you both. And I will turn it over. She says I'm her boss, but she's the strategic woman with the plan. So I'll turn it over to our president and CEO, Roz Dawson.
A beautiful event and a beautiful time together. I wrote down all my little notes too, and so I'll be following your beautiful lead. You could not be more deserving of this award, and for implementing real change on behalf of women and in the workplace. Thank you both. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Dana, and thank you very much, Sean. To everyone who came tonight, and there were like 100 of you, thank you very much. A fabulous audience of friends and aficionados of Miss Dana Blankenship. We'll obviously love for you to attend our next event, which is the next event in this series is on July 15th and featuring Beverly Hill. But before you go, if you are so moved, I would hope that you'll help us continue our work in supporting and advancing women leaders. You can donate in honor of Dana tonight, or any of our wonderful award recipients. And all you need to do is go to txwf.org, or you can text the words Texas 2020, all mashed together, to 41444. Again, congratulations, Dana, and thank you for gifting us with your wisdom and your leadership. And to all of you who came this evening to be with us, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.